Fourth and a Dream family, we are back. Week 1, let's get it, dude. We're going to go ahead and jump right on into the picks. We're going to start it off at the top with CD's Nuts taking on Nancy P's fantasy team. For the fantasy team, I'm looking at Devonta Smith, I guess technically a home game down in Rio for an international NFL game. The Eagles are going to be taking on the Packers. He's got the new OC in town. I think he's going to get off to a good start this season. And on the flip side for CD's Nuts, I'm looking at Joe Mixon in this matchup, man. It's going to be a home on the road in Indy, a divisional matchup. Mixon making his Texans debut. I think he's going to get off to a good start. We're looking at probably like 80 yards and a touchdown. And I think he's going to pace it for Alexander this week. I'm going to go ahead and go with CD's Nuts in a very small upset over Nancy P's fantasy team. Moving right along, we're going to talk about the women of the Volusia Flagler Fantasy Football League. We've got Aston TD's, president of Bills Mafia, taking on Mrs. Commish, wide receiver. To me, this one's going to come down to the Cardinals and the Bills matchup. You've got pieces all over this matchup with Allen, with James Cook, Marvin Harrison, McBride. I mean, like I said, this is the matchup that we're gonna focus in on, and I'm calling the upset here, man. I think James Cook is gonna be he's pegged for a big season. I think with the vacation of targets with Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs in Buffalo, they're gonna have to find a way to get the running backs involved here, and I look for James Cook to pace the way for wide receiver this week. Next matchup on the docket, we've got the AT Aliens taking on the YouTube safe name. I think the matchup here is going to be wide receiver based, and the two guys I'm kind of focusing in on for this one for AT Aliens, I'm looking at T. Higgins, home game against the, I hate to say it, the New England Patriots. I know they've been down the last couple seasons, man. So I look for Joe Burrow and the pass-it offense to get off to a good start. And with the Jamar Chase holdout, well, I mean, he was holding out. I feel like T. Higgins will probably get off to a better start the first couple weeks of the season. And on the flip side, Cooper Kupp is the one I kind of want to keep my eye on. I mean, the last couple years, he's been dealing with some injuries. They're going to be on the road Sunday Night Football, taking on the Detroit Lions. They're going to be on the turf, man, and those games usually tend to be a little bit quicker speed, man. So it's going to be interesting to see how LA gets Cup going, especially with the breakout season that Puka Nacua had last year. I am going to go with the AT Aliens in this one. Close. Very, very close. Next up on the docket, we've got Tuanon taking on Lower the Boom here. And I'll start on the Tuanon side. The guys that I'm kind of interested in seeing how they get off to as far as the start goes is going to be Tank Dell and Jalen Waddle. Waddle, to me, is more of a health issue than anything else. With that passing attack down in Miami, there's definitely enough footballs to go around to keep everybody happy. But to me, Waddle staying on the field is going to be the most important thing. And as far as Tank Dell goes, there's a lot of mouths to feed in Houston. As I talked about previously, Joe Mixon's going to be making his Texans debut. You got Stephon Diggs coming to town now too. And then Nico Collins is also, running around out there. So, I mean, again, there's a lot of mouths to feed in Houston. It's going to be interesting to see how that gets off to, or how it comes out of the block so far this season. And on the flip side for Lower the Boom, man, Mr. White down there in Tampa Bay, Rashad White, he's going to be at home taking on the Commanders. I mean, he had a great season last year, caught a lot of passes out of the backfield. I feel like Tampa Bay is going to be kind of in the same boat this season. Yeah, you've got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on the outside, but you know, Rashad White's going to pace this thing, man. So I'm gonna go with the slight favorite in this one, and I'm gonna take Lower the Boom to get the W in week 1. Next up, we've got Iron Smoke taking on Friday Morning Oil Change, and again, to me, this one I'm gonna focus on 2 wide receivers here. On the Iron Smoke side, I'm looking at Deebo Samuels. You had the holdout with Brandon Ayuk throughout the offseason, and he just recently signed. So we're not quite sure what type of shape he's going to be looking in to start the season. And you've also got Christian McCaffrey that's been kind of nursing a little calf strain there for a couple weeks. So, I mean, maybe Kyle Shanahan kind of leans on Deebo. And, Deebo's not afraid to line up in the backfield, be in the slot, be on the outside. I mean, they move him all over the place. So I think Deebo is going to be the guy for Iron Smoke. And on the flip side, the one that I really, really am interested in seeing is going to be Malik Neighbors. I mean, yeah, I understand he's got a QB problem up there in New York where, it can be tough for them to get the ball down the field, but Neighbors is electric, man. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that dynamic plays out over the course of the year. I'm going to go with my boy FMOC on this one. I know he's a slight underdog here, but I think top to bottom, his roster is looking pretty good so far this year. And last but certainly not least, we have the 5-star matchup. We're going to tip the cap to the Jolly Roger. We're going to go ahead and put him in the main event for week 1. He's taking on Snitches Get Stitches. And I'm going to start on the Snitches side of the ball. He's got Brandon Ayuk and Jamar Chase in there. And, I mean, for anyone who's kind of followed NFL news this past offseason, especially over training camp, those are 2 guys that have been in contract disputes with their teams. So, to me personally, that's always kind of I don't know, man. I'm very cautious with those players. He's got them both in the lineup, and he's also got Kyle Pitts that's been kind of dinged up or had a hamstring issue pop up in week 1 of practice. So I'm concerned about that. And on the flip side, for the JR, I mean, who wouldn't want to see a post-game Atlanta Falcons Kirk Cousins celebration video? I mean, I'd watch it. Like I said, on the JR side, I'm looking at Cousins. I'm looking at Drake London. That's the stack. I know Pittsburgh's front 7 is pretty ferocious, but I like the Falcons getting off to a good start this season at home. I'll go, Drake London, let's say 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I feel like he's going to pace it for the JR. So give me the JR this week in the 5-star. We're back week 1. Hopefully we can get Red back on this thing next week. If not, I'll definitely be here. Your boy, the Commish, signing out. Good luck week 1, everyone.